Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first of many mastermind calls for Mailbox Power on Monday mornings with Mike and myself. Michael. He likes Michael. And we moved Tuesday to Monday, and it looks like that's pretty successful. We're getting a few more people showing up. I know a lot of you had asked us to try to look at other times because Tuesday night didn't work because you're on the East Coast and it was kind of late. So I'm glad you're able to all join us today. We always like to start our calls with wins for the week. And when I say wins, I mean Mailbox Power wins. You signed up an affiliate, you signed up a customer, you signed up an executive. Those are the types of wins we are looking for, or you got in front of a big client and had a meeting and it's looking good. Something like that for Mailbox Power. So do we have anybody that had, Lulu's not here. Lulu usually has some wins. Anybody have some wins?
Good morning, Brenda. I got one for you.
Okay.
I saw commissions come through, so that's always like, woohoo! There's a big win for the week. Now there's new budget to go out and send stuff. But I got 2 meetings this week to come show specifically about print, just what we can do to increase business. One of them's a salon, and one of them's a t-shirt print business that's been around with schools for 20 years, and business is super slowing down. So hopefully I'll come back next week with the win of the week with a new customer.
Yay! Well, congratulations. And yes, it's always fun when commissions hit and they start showing up in your bank account. Marie.
So I have someone who is a business coach. She has a full-time job and she's a business coach, and she actually referred me to my biggest company client, and she didn't want to be a referral partner. And she emailed me on Friday saying, I think I've decided that I should be an affiliate.
Yay!
So there we go.
So this is that big client that you just got recently?
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Look forward to seeing her on the call maybe and hearing about those wins, because it sounds like she's got some big connections.
Yeah, I think things finally clicked with her. I'm not sure she'll be on the calls because she does have a job. But anyway, I just, that was kind of an amazing, a surprise. I had not expected it because we'd already had that conversation, and she said, no, I don't have time for this. So anyway,
awesome. Congratulations, Kim.
Yeah, so I have a client who's a mortgage broker, and I've been helping her send stuff out for a while now to real estate and also to like a networking organization that we're both part of. She sends birthday cards and brownies, and there's a lot of realtors in the group, and I've talked to them so many times. Well, my friend that's the mortgage broker, she referred me to one of the realtors who already knew me, but I got that realtor as a client now, an executive. She, I talked to her about the value, and then I had to follow up with her, of course, because she said she was going to sign up, and then she didn't. And then I, called her the next week and said, how you doing? All that stuff. And she was like, oh, thank you so much for calling. I got so busy, I forgot, kind of, and so the persistence paid off, and she signed up as an executive. So I'm very excited to be helping her and, pursue, stress the value of the executive package, and she definitely saw it. So
awesome. Yeah. One thing that you said, Kim, in this, Mike and I were talking about this this past week, or I think it was Mike. We were talking about when a real estate agent talks to another real estate agent, or a mortgage person talks to another mortgage person. I think it was on last Tuesday's night's call. There's so much more power in that than us outside of the industry, not perceived as an expert in that industry, even if we're an expert in marketing for that industry. It's taken some people react and take action quicker when it's somebody in their own industry. It's a colleague that says, I'm using this tool. And it's helping me in my business to grow my business, to have people show up at events or gain new clients or referrals. And so there's power in that. Marie just said one of the big referrals she got just finally decided, that person decided to be an affiliate. There's power in staying in your lane and in bringing those people on that have influence over their industry. So congratulations on that, because you just proved that, you know, when you have somebody in the industry, it's a lot more power than one of us going and talking to.
That's why I brought it up, that it was actually someone I've known a while, but the reason she finally did it was because the other person validated that it's working for her, and she sent that person some brownies and a card, and I did too, but it's that third party validation that makes a difference for sure. And by the way, that client who's the mortgage broker, it's her son who is the car salesman that I mentioned that just did the success story for Mailbox Power. If you haven't seen it, it's really good. He's so nice, and he's really successful using it. And that's my friend, the mortgage broker's son. So yeah, you should definitely watch that if you haven't. It just came out, I think, last week.
We'll have to go take a look at it. Yeah. Andrea, I do see your hand. It's up in the green, but
well, thank you. Kim reminded me of a real estate agent that I had been, you know, just kind of plodding along. She reached out to me after she'd gotten my card one time and asked about it, and kind of flew away. She kind of one of those flaky people that's always too busy for everything and never has time for anything. And so finally she blew through the 14-day trial, but ended up having to take the thing. So thank you, Kim, for reminding me that I did have a success this week.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Woohoo! We love hearing the wins. The topic I wanted to bring up this week is procrastination. How many of us procrastinate? I was like, all of us? Well, I was going through some old notes, and I don't even remember the training that I was in. I don't remember who provided the training, but it was about the cost of procrastination. And it really is the cost also of not following up, because that also is equal to procrastination. So I'm going to use the example of, because many of you have pro customers, but the executive customer is $80 a month. I want you to think of an $80 a month customer and how many people are in your phone on a written list, wherever they might be, that you've talked to in the past and have not followed up with. You've procrastinated picking up the phone and calling them. Think about $80 a month times how many months you've procrastinated. If you've procrastinated 2 months, that's $160. 5 months, if I'm doing the math right, that's $400. You're missing out on $400 of commissions by procrastinating with following up. Does that make sense? Does it kind of put a number to it and make you want to go call that list?
Absolutely.
Awesome. And you're also doing a disservice by not following up. So let's talk about follow-up. We're supposed to be experts in this. That's what Mailbox Power is a follow-up tool. It's also a marketing tool, but on the other side of retaining customers or nurturing prospects, that's a follow-up process. Nurturing, Kim talked about, she had talked to that real estate agent a while ago, and it took a mortgage person to say, I'm using it and it's working. Marie.
I'm just going to share a tool that I found some time back, and it just works really well for me to keep people from falling through the cracks, because we all have had that happen. I found this little website so that whenever I'm doing an email to someone, and I want to make sure that in 2 weeks, I'm back in touch with them, or in a month, whatever it is, 6 months. I can blind card BCC myself, or in the BCC button, I put 2 weeks at followupthen.com. And in 2 weeks, that email bounces back to me. So I just love it, because that's my reminder system. And I do it at the same time that I'm sending them an email. I just, in the BCC part, it's called followupthen.com. And you can do it in 15 minutes. You can do it in 2 weeks. You can do it in 6 months. You can do it in a number of days. It's a really cool little system, and it's free.
Follow up then. VEN.
Yeah.
She's gonna
I'm
put
putting it in the chat. Followupthen.com.
Awesome. Oh, follow up then. I thought you were saying a V.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
all right.
then.
Followupthen.com. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that tool, Marie. Eileen.
Hi, everybody. I think with follow-up, sometimes the reason I love follow-up is I like to complete something. So if I put follow-up as part of my completion, I don't like not having something completed. I also think that the other thing we've talked about in this group a lot before is the non-negotiables. If you really say to yourself that, okay, I'm investing, especially when we're sending something out, not to follow up, but just to give you some examples, I have 4 Zooms this week, and I have gone back through my Mailbox Power where I sent cards starting March 1st, working my way back, just saying, did you get your half birthday card for me? And they've responded, and I've said, oh, let's catch up. I'd love to tell you more about why I'm doing this. Would you like to learn more? And I've asked them before, but 4 of them have said yes. So I think that I don't feel it's completed until they say they're not interested. And I will use the words I've mentioned before, that I don't want to be a pest. And people say, oh, you're not a pest. And so I continue because I feel that it's important. And I would just suggest one more thing. If you're not good at consistent follow-up daily, weekly, be sure you do it seasonally. And right now we're about to start spring. And so you can go back through everybody, make a goal to get back through everybody through the month of March, it's through spring. And then if you're not really good at it, like I said, weekly, daily, come summer, come fall, come winter, at least you're touching them once again.
Awesome. Thank you, Eileen. I love, not all of us are good at follow-up. And I love what you said about the seasons. And if you feel like you can't do it daily or weekly, at least commit to follow-up once a season or once a quarter. I love that idea. Machen.
Good morning. To echo that, I saw it written somewhere in my notes that I was reviewing that someone had said, and I'm getting better about writing down who says these things and noting it so I can give them a shout out. But we have to work in our seasons, and like seasons, we don't sow and reap in the same day. So a lot of the follow-up is for all the sowing we did in the previous season. And you have no idea who's rooting for you unless you reach out to them and speak to people, especially what we do on social media and the direct mail and everything. We reach back out to people and follow up. And you can ask that question and everything. Like the follow-up that I'm the most comfortable with is just a message. And it's when somebody has said yes. I create the list, people who said yes, people who I want to work with. The people who said yes, I'm following up with them, different than the people that I want to work with in the future. It's a different season of our relationship. And so on the follow-ups, I just want to say I use a really fancy one. It goes like this on Messenger. It goes, "Hey, I noticed you went quiet on me." And then I give them a choice. And I just say, perhaps something came up or this is no longer a priority. Either way, if you could let me know, I'd really appreciate it. And I have like almost 100% response rate to that. And if they don't respond to that, then they can still get all the other follow-ups by being connected on social media. Like when you post and you create content and you make their phone ding with your name across it. That's the type of follow-up that I've been doing. And then when somebody doesn't respond to that, I've unfriended them by now. And I follow up with a little bit different message. It's like, "Hey, can I take you off my list?" And they're like, "What list?" Annoyed. Because most of the people I talk to are salespeople. They're like, "You got me on a list? I'm not a list person. I'm different," or whatever. But it gets them to respond. And then I say, "Oh, list of amazing business owners that I'm looking to work with this month, this week. Are you interested in this week? Okay, then I'll take you off the list. I'll put you on. How about, what are we talking about here? Right? Get the conversation going." So yeah, follow-ups, love it. And just wanted to chime in. When I heard the seasons part, I was like, "Oh, I love that," because I remember someone telling me like, "You have to be in the season." And I went, "What do you mean? I'm plowing the fields right now. I'm out here and I'm trying to get the corn right now. I'm doing it." And it's like, well, you can't. You worked on a farm when you were a kid. I did. I ran tractors. Did you sow the wheat and run crops at the same day? It's like, no, we didn't. You wait months. And so anyhow, just some encouragement. I love that idea. Those people that we've been sending on automations, I wrote that one down. Just go and manually follow up with them with just "Hey, how's it going? How's things?" And that way, those people, they've got the message from you already. This is a follow-up. You don't have to really explain. It's like, "Hi, Gail. Just thinking of you. How's things?" There's a follow-up. "Hi, Gail." All right, I'll get out of here. I'll shut up.
I love it. One of the things I love about the seasons and that Eileen and Machen were talking about, Machen kind of hit on this, is we may be sowing the seeds for corn today, and in a couple of weeks we're sowing the seeds for wheat or whatever it is. So you may be sowing right now a certain list. You're sowing seeds with a certain list, and it's the list from before that you were sowing that is now harvesting. Eileen.
As I was hearing Machen expand on this and I think part of follow-up is people have to realize they have to water. You don't just plant and then hope it appears. And, I love this joke where, someone prays to God. I think I've said this before on a call where they say, "God, give me a good crop. I'm praying for a good crop." And they say, God says, rather, "Help me out, plant some seeds." And I think that it's the follow-up and the watering that is sometimes missing. And sometimes the sun is out and sometimes it's a cloudy day, but you keep on, expecting it to grow, and you don't focus on the seeds that didn't grow. You're focusing on the ones that are growing. And I think sometimes with follow-up hesitancy, I call it, people are focused too much on what's not growing instead of watering, and there will be growth.
I love that.
I think the other thing that's kind of nice about the analogy of being a gardener instead of being a hunter.
Yes.
We really, sometimes I think we get so focused on the sale that we don't focus on nurturing those seeds. And that's what you're doing basically when you're doing follow-up, is you're nurturing the seed, you're tending to the garden. And when you don't tend to a garden, you know what happens. The weeds take over and it chokes everything out. So you really do have to follow up and tend to your garden, because if you don't, anything that you planted is going to die. So it really is important to get in that mindset that follow-up is nothing more than tending to a garden. And thinking about it that way makes it, I think, a whole lot easier to follow up and do what you need to do. Marie.
Thank you for that, Michael. And something that Eileen just said, probably Machen as well. It's like the bigger picture here is more than following up because you're a Mailbox Power affiliate. But the bigger picture is you're growing your network. Everything is about the network. You're growing the network, you're building the relationship with the network, because you don't know what other service you might have in 3 months that you will want to let your network know about. So, I mean, to me, it's even much bigger than Mailbox Power.
I love that. And I don't know why, but when Eileen and Mike were talking, and we've been talking about procrastination, how many of you have procrastinated doing the laundry or the dishes or housework, whatever it might be? I'll be the first to raise my hand. And how big does that chore get when you procrastinate? You procrastinate because it keeps getting bigger and bigger and you don't want to do it. Whereas if you just did it once a week or every day, the dishes, whatever that might be, it's a lot easier to get it done. Machen.
Have you ever heard, I'm trying to remember, it's called the region beta paradox. And it's that problems like doing the dishes can create a ton of anxiety for us, and we do nothing about it because it's a small problem. And we start thinking, okay, well, I've got all these big problems. I need to focus on all these big problems. But those small problems, like a like a toothache, like a cavity, can really rot away at us, our emotion, our energy, and everything like that. So if you notice, I'm not raising my hand on the procrastination, not because I'm trying to be dishonest with myself, but because I am fighting it like a demon. Like I'm like, no, get out of here. You got something to do. Let's do it. And on that note, I got a call like 6 minutes. I'm going to do this and the next thing, and it can be a little exhausting, but I don't find myself chasing little problems. Instead, I'm just throwing little problems away, like the dishes. Either do them, get one of the kids to do them, hire someone to do them. There's a lot of solutions to make that not a problem ever. But it's also easy to go, well, I can solve that and I can't solve the big problem, so I'll start focusing on all the little problems. It's this like weird thing that we do. The condition, the paradox is that when we're thrown into like a life or death situation, we're so much more powerful than we imagine. And when we look at something like doing the dishes, we go, well, my back hurts. Or back hurts because you hate getting up and doing the work that you're going to do after the dishes. But if you love doing what you do, then the back doesn't hurt. It's weird. It's this weird paradox. But anyhow, that really triggered that for me, just thinking about how terrible we can make these little issues. But if it was a big issue, we would solve it no problem. So like just counter yourself, just believe in yourself and do the little things like the follow-up stuff and all that. And we don't get the toothache, we don't get the cavity, we don't get sick, we don't die from the toothache, essentially, in this analogy. I get a little dramatic.
No, you're fine. And, it makes me think about scheduling and taking time out of your schedule, putting it on your calendar. I've heard so many people, productivity coaches, say, if it's on your calendar, it gets done. If it's not, it generally doesn't get done. So are you calendaring your success? It also reminded me that when I worked full time and had kids at home and everything else, it's amazing how much you can get done if you have a busy schedule. And if you don't have a busy schedule, if you don't have a full schedule, it's amazing how little you get done because you're like, well, I'll have time for that later. And it's always, I'll do it later because you've got all this time. And actually, it ends up crippling you and hurting you, especially in business. So we want to keep these calls because we know that we have meetings every morning at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. So we want to keep these calls to a half an hour to respect your time because you all need to go get to work, whether that be in Mailbox Power or some other business. So We want to thank everyone for being on this morning. We look forward to seeing you every single Monday and learning from you. I learned so much today. Mike took some notes, just some language that helps us to rethink things, reshape things, as Machen said, and think about things differently. So our wish for you this week is to think about follow up, to think about things differently this week, and to start calendaring your success, whether that be follow up or whatever that might be. And we look forward to hearing all of your wins next Monday morning. So with that, I hope you all have an absolutely fabulous week and go make some money in Mailbox Power. See
Thank
y'all.
you all. Great meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing everybody.